Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Smoothers, sorry, smoothers. Turning the Wi-Fi's off. There we go. Doing the final checks before takeoff. Pleasant 12 degrees, heading for top of 21 degrees Celsius today. Where's my lip balm? Where's my lip balm? Can't drive a car without lip balm. Where is my lip balm? There it is. Hey, okay. Oh, going back to work after nearly 4 days off. Oh, sorry, 4 weeks off. 7:05 a.m. Conditions are clear. Come on board. I hope you've brought your own snacks and drinks because we don't provide any at this airline. We don't even provide seatbelts. Your safety is not our concern. Neither is your happiness. All right, pip pip, we're away. I wasn't going to do a drive live. I'm possibly going to run this channel into an algorithm cul-de-sac too. Hey, Scout. I miss you too, gorgeous. I did a quick little live. I've got to change my keyring. I was given the most beautiful keyring last year. It's a spoon, and they flatten out the top of the spoon, and then they stamp stuff into it, and it says Beach Shack, and I absolutely love it. But it's like having wind chimes in my car. Oh, look at I miss. But under the guise of is working a crime. It's a crying shame. But should it be a crime? Hell yeah. Why can't we all just be paid for being fabulous, you know? Why isn't that a thing? You do. You do, although it looks like there's a lurker too. Also, good work with the caps, but I'm saying I need to do some research. Maybe we all need to do a bit of research. Francesca told me last year that putting comments in capitals, according to the algorithm, it's perceived to be trolling. Just like putting heaps and heaps of emojis. You know, when people say throw up hearts for someone and people do like a whole 5 rows of love hearts or whatever. And she thought that might have been an issue with Better Call Tour or Tasmania Calling. And now I've got this beautiful but annoying wind chime keyring. I mean, it doesn't look like a wind chime, but it's just making that noise. So, yeah, I don't really feel like going to work. My sister and I missed the connecting flight because I got held up at customs, not because I had anything dodgy in my luggage, but because they have these sort of e-passports, which I've got, and they give you a little ticket, and then you go through the scanner and they do like a facial recognition thing, and it told you to take a face phone. The flight from Singapore was pretty okay, most of it. But, you know, that really sort of shallow wriggly sleeping, as I call it, So yeah, we just wanted to get through customs, and we had to get from the international terminal to the domestic terminal and check in our luggage for the last leg home. And my facial recognition didn't work, and when we were in the other direction, they let you have several attempts. I mean, mine went through no issues, but both my sister and my niece had to stand there and do facial recognition a couple of times before they were let in. In Australia, one stroke, you're out. It swallowed up my ticket that we'd already queued up to get the ticket to go through the fast lane. And then it told me to go to the service desk, and I did. And the woman was like, yeah, you'll have to go to the back of the queue. The back of the queue was almost back at the arrivals gate where we got off our flight. Like, there were hundreds of people in this queue. And I just started crying. I rang the girls because they'd both gone through, and I was like, guys, just go without me. I'll work it out. Neither of them wanted to. And then my niece, we encouraged her to go. But then she was reporting to us from the luggage carousel, and her suitcase wasn't coming out for ages. So she was saying, I think we're all still going to miss it. Anyway, she did get her case, and she bolted and managed to get on the flight. And she boarded the domestic flight while I was still in the delays and things to go wrong when I'm travelling. I had the beautiful day. Yeah, I'm not sure about a Cab Scout. That's what I was saying, mate. I don't know. Francesca thinks that it can be part of the reason my other channel is now not on the algorithm, because it indicates a lot of trolls on my channel. So I need to look into it. I was hoping we could all maybe see if we can find out more about that. But yeah, I think with driving anyway, it's better that I don't read any chat until I'm, or as little as possible. And if I'm crawling, which is when I can read it, I can read the lowercase. Thanks, gorgeous. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about asking people to write in caps for the moment, at least till we know, because I'm on the Smooth Criminal channel and it's growing really organically, and it'd suck if we end up in another cul-de-sac of Doom Scout. Thanks, babes. I know you've got your little scripts. You're such a good mod. But yeah, until we know for sure. I mean, I don't personally think that should be an issue, but Francesca's definitely bounces around a lot more channels than I do and is way more observant than I am. So I'm not doubting what she's saying. I just think that, God, with everything that's happening on YouTube now, they're turning creators into these little robots that, you know, at some point, I'm sure our personalities are going to get diluted even more as well. SCP is blossoming, and I've had a little bit of growth on Tasmania Calling as well, which is really encouraging. I don't want to blame the show we're now going to be calling Bonkers entirely for it, but every single episode of the show formerly known as Bat something, they've all been red lighted and marked ineligible for monetisation, but every single one of them. Hey, Emily. Good to see you, gorgeous. So I'm thinking that I've sent a video to Finn because I mentioned it a couple of times, and he's very anti-censorship, as am I, but it's not my rule, it's YouTube's. And he loves a good little debate. And I'm like, I'm not debating this with you. Watch this video. So I sent him a video, and he's still debating with me about it. I'm like, I can't do this, mate. Not my rules. He wants to do the show as normal with swear words everywhere, and then edit out all the swear words or bleep them out and reload it. But I don't think he understands it's the swearing in a live will get picked up straight away. So, and I don't have time to edit videos and bleep out heaps of swearing. I mean, when I did breakfast radio, we weren't allowed to swear. So it reminds me of those days. And I'm not at all pro-censorship, but I am good at following rules. Just tried to read your comment, Emily, but I don't know what that means. Got the announcement on the new title. What new title? If you're talking about the show that Finn and I do, he didn't let me know he's done anything with that. But anyway, I did ask him if he could change the channel name because it's his login for Google accounts to do that. Do you think it's changing for the good, Scout? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I think we're all adults, and I think people's personalities are getting diluted. Look, I mean, I don't get mountains of negative comments from people, but my potty mouth does get mentioned from time to time, and I used to just say, oh, well, you know, if swearing offends you, you might want to F off now. But to be honest, Twitter with Elon Musk just saying, you're all grown-ups, do what you need to do, it's quite refreshing. Political correctness has really exhausted me in the last decade and the last 2 decades, but the last decade in particular. I'm actually glad. It's not that Australia is lacking political correctness. It's certainly been applied in areas like, you know, racial comments and hate speech and that sort of stuff, which I think needed to be addressed. But, you know, there's so many people on YouTube that get offended on behalf of other people and lecture people for being offensive and lecture people for not using their right pronouns, and it's exhausting. I cannot keep up with my own life, let alone everyone else's. And I feel that YouTube is reflecting that. So I'm not sure. I think there's ways to eliminate the crap on YouTube, but Emily is moderating on a premiere. Huh? Okay, now I'm really confused. Oh, that's good, Scout. I haven't really had a chance yet to dabble. I mean, I was able to check in on a few things. I mean, there's been a lot of, as you know, I mean, I feel very strongly against all of the channels that have just been swearing and calling other people bitchs, and, you know, if it gets rid of that sort of stuff, bring it on, because I still can't believe those channels get hundreds of people watching them. They don't make any original content. They just criticize other people endlessly and say the most hideous stuff about them. But then, like culturally and somewhat a bit lazily of me, I swear like a truckie in real life, and it's not that I can't go back to my days of breakfast radio and not being able to swear. I certainly can do that. But there's still an adjustment phase. And I think a lot of people are going to get caught up in, or caught in that adjustment phase. And it could destroy their channel. And the other issue I've got, see Emily? I still have no idea what Emily was talking about. When I get to look how clean this run is. So many people are still on holidays because it's our summer break. So schools haven't gone back yet. But a lot of offices are reopening today, so I was expecting the traffic to be heavier than this. I'll probably get an hour in the car park at this rate. Oh, I didn't bring my work keys. I don't even know what they are. My colleagues better rock up or I won't be able to get into the building. I'll have to turn around and come home. I brought my laptop and everything home with me just in case I got COVID on the flight. But I didn't get it going over or coming back. It is hard. It's a hard adjustment. And look, I mean, yeah, I use it for comic effect too. Like I didn't bring my diary. I've got no idea what my week is like apart from having to be at work today. But if I've got any appointments or anything like that, I wouldn't have a clue. Not at work. I know I'm going to have heaps. I know what the girls I work with are like. They'll be like, well, she's been on holidays for nearly a month. We're going to give her all the yucky clients today. I know it's going to be hell. I know there won't be much adjusting. I'm just hoping it's a bit quiet, but January usually is fairly quiet. Yeah, I think the whole island is still on vacation mode. It's only a few suckers heading to work by the looks of it. But my sister's back at work today too, so she's only 300 metres down the road from my office, so I might say to her, do you need me to run you some gin and tonic in your lunch break or a pina colada or not a Singapore sling? She's allergic to cherries, so she couldn't do the Singapore sling. I did. I didn't really like it. It was too sweet for me. So I stuck with the pina coladas and the gin and tonics. And the tiger beer. I've still got so many videos to make and photos to upload, and actually you would have seen more than most already because of stuff I was putting on Instagram published over to Facebook, but that's only the tip of the iceberg. I've got hundreds of photos, but I'm just going to make little videos like I've been doing. But on that, the YouTube changes. The issue I've really got with it is YouTube didn't send creators emails explaining it. Everyone has learned the hard way. I mean, it's really messing with major channels, where they've dropped a few swear words and all these previously monetized, hugely popular things they've done and now demonetizing invisible, some of them. I think bring on changes if you want to, YouTube, but you've got to tell the creators what it all means. And, that's what I said. Finn's now questioning what I'm saying. And again, I sent him a video and I just said to him, dude, do your research. I didn't create this. This isn't me. Do some research and learn what it means, because I'm not debating. I've just been on an amazing trip. I'm not sitting on my phone debating YouTube's new rules the day before I have to go back to work. Sunny is great. She was so cute when I got home. Because we were delayed, I let one of my friends know we were delayed because he was texting me to see if we were home, one of the ones that was helping with Sunny. So then he messaged the other girl that was helping with Sunny and said I was delayed. So she went over and gave Sunny dinner, which I wasn't expecting, because even if I got home at 8 o'clock, which is when I did get home, that's still okay to give her dinner then. And but anyway, it was very sweet of her to do it. So Sunny didn't do the usual run to the door thing, which she does when she's hungry. So I called out her name a couple of times and I walked into the living room or the kitchen, open plan room. And surprise, surprise, she was on her ottoman. Roger sent so many photos and videos while I was away, and nearly all of them, she was on the bloody ottoman. But anyway, I just said bloody. But that word can have more than one meaning. And it is a crime channel. See, crime scenes are bloody, Anyway, she was sitting bolt upright, and she had, I wish I'd taken a video of her or a photo, because the look on her face was like, oh my God, is that the human that I usually let share my house with me? I know that voice. Could it be? And she looked like she'd seen a ghost when I walked in. And then she ran up to me. It was so cute. So I bent down to give her a pat, and she went out of her way to not let me pat her head. But she was very excited to see me. And then I didn't know that Gina had fed her, even though the food in her bowl was looking quite fresh. So she scammed a second dinner out of me. Hello, Ruth. Yeah, that green ottoman that's falling apart, and I'm going to take it to a seamstress and get it all sewed up again. I haven't got a thick enough needle to do it, or thick enough twine, but there's a seamstress just down the road from me, and I'm going to get her to sew it back up, because it ends up on these precarious angles. It's quite funny watching her still trying to sleep on it and stuff. I mean, it flipped over onto its side and she's still got back up on it. So, yeah, it was a very sweet homecoming. And then Saturday, all day Saturday, I mean, I went to the beach twice because it was a stinking hot day. Finally left the heat and humidity of Singapore and got home to a very hot day. And I was a bit jet lagged. So apart from a couple of swims and then picking up some birthday presents at the post office, I didn't leave the house. And she didn't let me out of her sight. Like, I unpacked my suitcase in the spare room and sorted out what needed to be washed and little prezzies I'd bought for people and all of that sort of stuff. And she doesn't usually come down to that room, but she did. She supervised everything. Yeah, how are you, Ruth? You good, mate? And then this morning, I woke up and she knew straight away I was going off to work because I put my little clickety-clackety shoes on. I put the radio on and gave her a big smooch. She was actually fine. She's had the house to herself for 9 days. So, I didn't get the look of, how dare you abandon me? She was pretty happy. Oh, she did not let me out of her sight, Scout. It was hilarious. She followed me everywhere. And if I had to go out on the deck, like I did some washing, I did 3 loads of washing. It was so hot, the washing dried in like 10 minutes. It was crazy. Um, but every time I went out onto the deck, she watched me from the sliding door on the other side. And if I went out of her vision, she'd come back and she'd have this little look on her face. Where'd you go? But by Sunday, yesterday, it was just business as usual in her house. You're bumbling along, Bruce. Keep bumbling, Gruber. But I missed her. Roger and Gina both sent. Well, Roger in particular, he sent me like a video, at least one video, sometimes 2, and photos a day. He was on the afternoon, like the dinner run, and then Gina most mornings would feed Sunny and then she'd head off to work. So she often didn't have time to flick me photos, but I still got little updates every day from one or both. I know, our fur baby's love is very special. I was really happy to see her again. But yeah, like I said, with me heading off to work, I used to get the, how can you leave me? But no, she didn't seem remotely concerned. She has gotten used to having the house to herself without me being there. I'm very grateful that she's let me, move back in and coexist with her. It's very generous of her. She didn't, water the plants, or Roger did all of that. From what I gather, Sunny pretty much ate breakfast, slept all day, got dinner, slept all night, the usual. She had the craziest zoomies last night, though. It was very funny. She was out of control, zooming. When I was live, it started. And usually I can chase her around for a few minutes and that's enough. But nope, it was a good 10, 15 minutes. And then I was like, dude, I've got to go to bed. I have to go to work. But yeah, I think having to work is criminal. I don't know if you guys have seen Ricky Gervais doing a routine about work, but it's essentially, it's Louis C.K. I know, he had a fall from grace. I still think he is one of the smartest comedians of our generation. I can respect his art despite his failings. Look at all the issues so many great artists and musicians had, but you can still appreciate what they created, right? But yeah, he does a routine about, imagine if God exists. I mean, I'm not going to go down a religious debate, but if there's a God and God came back, he'd be like, what the hell are you all doing? Like, I've put food on the planet, all the resources you need. Where are you going? I'm going to work. Why are you going to work? To earn money. Why do you need money? To buy food. But I gave you food. Eat the food I gave you. Oh, I will be doing a live, yeah, but I need to it's a bit of prep too, and I've got to work for the next few days. But I need to download all my photos. I'm going to do a slideshow, and I've still got lots of people to catch up with and more videos to do. But no, I will. I mean, I talked about it a bit last night on my live. I've talked about it quite a lot actually. So if anyone's itching to hear about some of it, there's a fair bit of it in the live last night. But yeah, I will be definitely doing a live. And the only reason I didn't go live from Singapore, well, not the only reason, but the main reason was I had a fairly good plan for using my mobile out and about in Singapore, but it only gave me 1 gigabyte. So realistically, the only time I could go live was at my brother's house using their Wi-Fi. But that was sort of, we were either all of us cooling off in the pool because you get so hot there that every time you get home after being on trains and stuff, all you want to do is be in the pool. And I wasn't comfortable going live around the pool with my friends and with my family and bathers and stuff like that. Or I was hanging out with my family. So there wasn't a lot of opportunities. And then I kept thinking, if I'm up late and everyone's gone to bed, I could go live then. But we did so much during the day, and I wake up at 5 a.m. and I wasn't getting my usual disco nap in the afternoon. So I was never up later than anyone else. Or if I was, it was with somebody else. Like my sister and I were up till like 2 a.m. on the morning of my birthday. So there really weren't many opportunities. And then I did go to Little India on my own. But again, I didn't have the data while I was out and about to do anything online. So you'll have to replay crew the live. I will do an actual, Ricky makes me laugh too, but it was actually Louis C.K.'s routine about God wondering what the hell we've all done, like why we work, which was initially going to be my drive therapy vent this morning, is why the hell do we work? It's stupid. We spend huge chunks of our lives doing these jobs to make money, to feed ourselves and all the rest of it. But yeah, if you look at that set that Louis C.K. does, got to be like, why the hell are you all working? It was a personal and lovely family vacay, and there were a lot of us too. Like, I mean, just at the house, there were 6 of us. So there was a lot of people wanting to do a lot of things. Both of my nieces, my brother, my sister and my sister-in-law, like it was, and they had lots of things that they wanted to show us, to sort of let us see what their lives have been like there for the last 2 years. And we had things that friends and people we know had recommended we do while we were there. And it actually got a bit overwhelming at one point because I really dislike the word should, and I really try not to use it because it's so disempowering. And we already had a lot of things that we wanted to do, which included all the things that our brother and sister-in-law wanted to show us as well. And I had people going, you should go and do this, you should go and do that. And it's like, you should shut the fuck up. Oh, well, I'm now ineligible on this live. It doesn't matter. This channel's not monetized, but you could get barred from ever being monetized if you get too many strikes when you're not monetized on with these new YouTube rules. But yeah, it's so many people. Like I'd post photos on Instagram and a video, and they'd publish across to Facebook. No one was telling me where I should go or what I should do on Instagram, but everyone on Facebook is just so bossy and opinionated. And so yeah, I had all these people telling me, make sure you go and see this. Is like, dude, I'm here for a week, and the most important tourist attraction for me is my family. I honestly wouldn't have minded if there'd been a massive COVID outbreak and we'd had to spend the entire week in lockdown with our family. That would have been a great holiday for me. Don't get me wrong, I love traveling and I love exploring and everything else, but my primary desire for while I was there was to spend time with my brother and sister-in-law and niece, and my sister and other niece. But yeah, you know, everyone's got an opinion, and you should do this. No, you should get on a plane to Singapore and you do it. Oh, my family's not the bossy ones. It's the people that discovered I was in Singapore telling me what I should go and do and see while I was there. You know, it's one thing to say, oh, if you have some time and you're down in such and such a district, we had a lovely dinner at such and such a restaurant. If you get a chance, you know, it's a doozy. Mind you, every single place we ate food was incredible. The food in Singapore is amazing. I'll go on this side for a change. But yeah, sort of the word should just, if anything, the word should makes me less inclined to want to do it, you know. My mum was pretty cool in many respects, and she drummed into us from an early age why the word should isn't a great word. Could is fine. If you've got some time, you could pop in and see blah blah if you're looking for things to do. Yeah, I find should very disempowering. It just seems to be people on Facebook, like people that I love in my real life. On Facebook, just a different being to what they're like offline. There's this sort of confidence that people get that they feel they can be very absolute in the way they communicate. And we met a new creator from Tasmania, Radio Jonesy, telling him all about you and your fabulous show. Is that Stephen Jones, who used to do a show with a woman called Amanda Keller? Oh, wait, Radio Jonesy from Tasmania. No, that's not Stephen Jones. I wonder who that is. I'll have to check it out, Scout. I mean, if he's Tasmanian, he'd already know me. If he's Tasmanian and works in radio, because, you know, I did too. And it is a small place. You're sending me a DM on Messenger later. Okay, Ruth, I look forward to seeing that. Radio Jonesy. I wonder who that is. Mind you, my radio career was in the 2000s, so it was a while ago, 2003 to 2009. But if he doesn't know me, he'd know my family for sure. Can't really avoid my family in this place. Examining their public careers and one thing I will be doing today, unless the girls have already done it, is I'm moving offices. For some reason, I got put in an old meeting room as an office, and it is the noisiest office in the building. And the only reason I was moved there was a former colleague who doesn't even work for us anymore. Didn't like the office that I shared with her, and I love it. Loved it. And she complained so much about the office that it got moved, but she doesn't even work for us now. So I ended up in this room that was so noisy and a bit of a thoroughfare. It's a bit of a shortcut. It's got two doors, so people would often, just breeze on through while I'm speaking to clients on the phone. Good old client confidentiality. And one side, it's big, massive glass windows on both walls, and one side is right next to our photocopier for the building, which is like a bloody Hummer. It's huge. I mean, you could seriously drive it around the building. And, photocopiers are sort of a gathering spot for people. And I didn't want to have to poke my head out and say, guys, can you keep it down? I can't hear myself think. And the other wall's a glass wall too. And people would often just gather for some reason in the hallway right outside it. So I just have to suck it up. So hopefully I get put back into the back cave today if it's quiet. The girls said if they got really quiet, they'd do it while I was away. And my former colleague was one day a week, and her dislike of the back cave overruled me, and I worked many more days. I feel a bit weird that I haven't got my diary. I don't like not having my diary. My diary is my entire life. Just putting on some powder and I'll read the chat again. So yeah, no one seems to have a strong opinion about work being criminal, but I think it is. I don't want to be at work. I'm not ready. I need another week of holiday. Mind you, it might be a quiet week. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'll check out Radio Jonesy though, Scout, for sure. Be good to do some collaborating with some Tasmanian creators. What does Radio Jonesy talk about? What's the interest topics? Topics of interest. What's their shtick? Well, it's the point of my live, Ruth. It's a simple question. Is it criminal? I think it is. I think it should be. No, we all had a summer break, but the office reopened last Monday, so my other colleagues went back last week. And my boss, I'm not sure if she's working or not till the school holidays are over, but she's going to be working remotely though whenever she's back at work. But I don't know if she's got another week before the schools go back. Because we have, like you guys, our main break for the year is summer, and because our summer is now, this is when we have our long break. So schools with schools in particular. So our new school year is about to kick off again. Thanks, gorgeous. Music, his property, gardening, and the beach. God, he sounds like me. Radio Jonesy. I bet he's not been booted off the algorithm. I mean, I do know someone with the surname Jones who's sort of worked in media and voiceovers and stuff like that in Tassie, and it might be him, but I don't want to say his first name in case I dox him. My eBay is still Radio Tory. I signed up to eBay when I was working in radio, obviously, presumably. And yeah, I'm seriously getting into gardening, so I expect a few lives from the garden this year for Tasmania Calling and the fire pot. He's impressed the New Yorker is very familiar with beautiful Tasmania. You were bragging about me. Oh, thanks, darling. Well, he probably doesn't know my surname then, but if he did, he'd know. I've got a feeling I know who it is. Actually, if you go into my Facebook friends list and just type in Jones, he'll come up. But I'll check out the link. But I'm kind of thinking I know who it is. Unless he's up north. If he's up north, it's not who I'm thinking it might be. I've got the cutest new Keep Cup Traveller. There's a chain of these bakeries in Singapore. They're so amazing. Their branding is gorgeous. It's got all these little different shaped coffee cups. I can't pronounce the name. I haven't written it down. It's got quite a long name, but it's amazing, amazing bakery. We went one day when we went to Sentosa. Will took us to Sentosa Island, and he sort of said, "Are you guys hungry?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd love a coffee." And is there a bakery around here? And he went, "Well, there's not one here, but there's one about 20 minutes away. We'll go there afterwards." So we went there. And it was the first place we went to that was really similar to the sort of things that Ange and I go to a lot. And the food and the coffee and everything were just incredible. And then on my birthday, Nikki took us to another one in a completely different area. So I grabbed the Keep Cup because I love it. And I'm just hoping it doesn't leak. I go through so many Keep Cups because as soon as they leak, I'm just like, I don't like you. I don't like you anymore. I'm actually going to go back into this. For something different. One of my new rules for 2023 is try some new things. Break your routine, girls and guys. It's really good for your mental health or your brain health to mix things up a little. Hello, Morgan. Thank you, beautiful. I had an amazing birthday. I don't think anything is going to beat, well, it's a hard act to follow. Birthday in Singapore is going to be hard to beat next year. In fact, my niece and my sister were both like, you're just going to have to be somewhere exotic each year for your birthday. And I was like, yeah, that could actually be quite fun. So that might be my new goal each year, is to be somewhere new in the world on my birthday. I need them. I need that. I've got my lens cleaner. Yeah, it was incredible. I had a fabulous, fabulous birthday. And it will be very tricky to beat. But it's also inspiring me. It's like, okay. Mind you, I was, a huge part of my birthday being amazing was being around friends and family. So, there is that. Taking off isn't necessarily great if you're not with people you love. But maybe that's why my family suggested it. They're like, yeah, piss off each year for your birthday so we don't have to put up with you. That could be what it's about. Yeah, it is who you're with that makes it great. It's just January babies, it's hard because people are on holiday, they're away. I used to have these parties and no one would reply to say if they were coming or not, and you'd get these messages saying, we might be away on that day. We'll let you know. And then half of the people that I thought were coming wouldn't rock up, and it was awful. But if I travelled somewhere each year where I knew somebody, that would be fine. But yeah, I don't think I want to be sitting, on a beach in Mauritius on my own on my birthday. And I don't necessarily want to travel to places where I know people if I've already been there, because there's so many places on the planet I still haven't been to, and I don't want to keep traveling back to the same. It sounds awful, but there's still so many countries I want to visit and things I want to do. Sort of you have to save and save and save and then go back to somewhere you've been before. It's a bit of a, yeah, don't get me wrong, it's lovely to see whoever it is I'm visiting and who I love, but, it might be a case of, like when I went to Hawaii, my friends in the States flew to Hawaii and met me there. Like we went somewhere new together. I had two friends who flew and met me. My friend Anastasia, who lives in Arizona, she met me in Maui. And then my host sister from when I was an exchange student, Brenda from Kansas City, she met me on Hawaii, one of the other islands. There's an island in Hawaii called Hawaii. And that was fun. I know, I'm being wild. I'm parking in a different spot. Look out. You'd love a nice beach right now. California's being washed. Oh, no. Which I did Kauai on my own, but I flew into Oahu and I spent a week with my best friend from Tassie who married a Marine. So they live in the States and they were based in Hawaii when I went there. Then I flew to Maui and I met my friend Anastasia and we had 5 days together. Then I flew to Hawaii and my host sister Brenda met me there and we had 5 days together. And then I went to Kauai and had 3 days on my own there. And then I went back to Oahu and had another week before I came home. I was there for 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks. It is beautiful. My favourite was Maui, though. I'll do New York again, for sure. And thank you. I will come and stay. Not for, 2 weeks or anything. Yeah, the Big Island or Hawaii. Which was really lovely too. They're all very different, but yeah, Maui was my. But thank you, Scout. I'll let you know when I'm coming to New York. New York's amazing, and I really would like to go back and see it again. Yeah, it was an amazing trip. I loved it. But now my friend that was based in Hawaii, they're back in San Diego, and he's retired from the military. Like you have to retire after 30 years, I think. And they bought one of their first postings was to San Diego, and right before they left, they bought a house there, and they've had tenants in it. Well, they've been flitting all over the country and all over the world, so they've ended up back in San Diego. I know, New York meetup would be awesome. Nothing's wrong with soggy England. I will probably go back to soggy England too because I really want to do Ireland and Scotland. But my next overseas trip is Japan. My next planned one. That was my overseas trip in 2020 that got pulled because of COVID. And that's one that I could do for my birthday because it is actually, part of that trip is doing a tour where you hike during the day and then at night you are in these sort of beautiful big villas and you do yoga. And you do yoga in the morning and then you eat a yummy breakfast and then you head off. And that's actually a tour group and that one might be a fun one for my birthday. I have to check the weather though. I think I was meant to go in like August 2020. I don't know what the weather's like in Japan. If it's monsoon season, it wouldn't be ideal for hiking. I mean, we could easily jump from New York across to London. Cloud spotting, food and drinks, sightseeing, the ocean, Broadway, museums, food and drinks again. We all need street. Well, Scout's got us all sorted. We definitely would need stretchy pants. But we could easily fly to London from New York too. We've got bushfires in Tassie, but I think they're under control at the moment. And there's heaps of flooding happening in Queensland again too. It hasn't stopped for them. It's been a year of just flooding, cleaning up, more floods, cleaning up, more floods, cleaning up. That's basically been the last 12 months for most people who live in Queensland. Horrible. The last time I was in New York, I was really too young to enjoy a lot of it. And my colleague is arriving, so I don't need to worry about not being able to get into the building at least. Yeah, flooding is horrific. I flooded my bathroom on Saturday. Or Sunday, yesterday. That was a fun thing. I finally unpacked everything and was ready to just have a lovely day of delivering a few prezzies to Roger and Gina to thank them for looking after Sunny and do some more washing. And yeah, I flooded my bathroom. I've got a hose that goes into my laundry tub, and normally there's like a hole that is cut that goes into the laundry tub, and you put the hose through the hole, but mine actually goes over the countertop and into the basin. And I've got this statue, it's a log that someone made. They turned it into a little dog. It's very cute. It's quite heavy. And I usually sit that on top of the hose and it holds the hose in place. But after all the washing I did on Saturday, the hose had wriggled free and I didn't notice. So, yeah, I put on another load and I was faffing around in my room, putting clothes away and just being a domestic goddess. I had no idea. And then I went back down to the bathroom for some reason and it was flooded. I was 19 when I was in New York. I mean, I got the couple that I met on my first day there who ended up living in their loft apartment for a month nearly. They took me to a lot of places, got me into plenty of little jazz bars and things like that, but I wasn't able to fully experience New York City. Oh, are they for Sunny? I'll give her your love, Morgan. I tried to do something remotely criminal related on this channel to be on this channel. I would have gone on to Tasmania Calling if yeah, that was the whole point of his work. Criminal was to do it on the Smooth Criminal channel. Literally Chinatown, pizza, international restaurants. We can walk it off. We could. Although I mean, isn't it interesting because Singapore has Little India, Chinatown. We walked everywhere and I might have lost 1 kilo in sweat and that was it. I refuse to go into the office at 8:06. That's ridiculous. Although my phone's, it says it's charged. Well, it's meant to be charging, but it's just flashing. It's on 40%. I mean, New York City and Singapore we've both got Little Indias and Chinatowns. Cute, huh? Oh, there's lots of lovely things to do in London, though. But yeah, Japan is my next trip because that's that's like bucket list stuff. Did you watch the news in Singapore? Yes, yes. And the news is unbiased and very refreshing, especially after apologies to the Americans in chat. After seeing how biased and sensationalistic, God, that woman's headlights are like making me blind. You can turn them on. I can't stand those LED lights. They make me stabby. Look how bright they are. I mean, seriously. Yeah, so that really good news. In fact, you can get ABC Australia on the news there as well. But Will was actually saying that this other channel, I can't remember the name. I mean, we didn't watch a lot of TV. My brother got a karaoke machine for Christmas, so we did a bit of karaoke, which was fun. But yeah, this other news service is a lot more, provides a lot more information about what's going on in Australia than the Australian news service, but incredibly unbiased. And just even with the Idaho 4, the news coverage from the States has been so bad, a lot of it, very sensationalistic. And I mean, I kind of stick to like law and crime because I just like the way they report, but you know, you throw Nancy Grace or Ashley Banfield in the mix and it's appalling. And they were really feeding the sleuths. You know, they were, I was going to do a live on it. I still might. because the way they were reporting, they were feeding the sleuths, who are the biggest problem on YouTube at the moment in the crime genre. They all maintain their true crime, but they're nothing like true crime. They're not reporting the facts and having conversations based on the facts. And these channels were just feeding them and, putting in opinions that were very negative, especially about, the jacks and everything else. And it was such irresponsible reporting. And so the sleuths were using those channels to justify what they were doing. Well, we saw it on Ashley Burnfield, or Nancy Grace made that comment, and that's not good journalism. I did Mr. Brightside with my brother. I did a Crowded House song. And I did You Are the Reason, Callum Scott. That was about it. I wanted to do more, but Will was like, the first night we did it, everyone was shouting, and my niece Lily wouldn't share the microphone and so she's got a really nice voice, but she just sort of sang over the top of everyone. And Will was like, no, everyone should be able to have a go and be heard. And so he came up with some rules for it, but we didn't get to do it again. I had a lot of late nights. We didn't have many nights at home. Yeah, BBC's gone down that road too. True Grime, love that one. Yeah, and Nancy, and then these creators are, being questioned about why they're sort of speculating and ignoring all the facts. And I mean, the coverage about the surviving housemate on some of the media channels has totally fed the sleuths, and they're all being so critical of her. And I mean, I kind of want to do a live about why she didn't call 911. She didn't know that everyone in the house had been murdered. Like, we know that. She didn't know that at the time. She lived in a party house. There was a fair bit of noise. There were obviously random people coming and going all the time. There was absolutely, nothing happened that would make her call 911. And then this was all happening at 4 a.m. She'd been out with Bethany. They'd probably had a few bevies. They might have even had a spliff or two. They get home. There's a bit of noise in the house, which isn't out of the ordinary, and Murphy barking, not out of the ordinary. And then this weird encounter with this dude walking out of the house. But every single person on YouTube who is criticising her for not calling 911, why would she? And then she wakes up at about 11, and 20 past 11 is when she called the cops. She's a 20-year-old college kid who'd been out that night, lived in a house where noise was common and random. I mean, they had a party with none of the people that lived there at home that night. And no one's not no one, the people that are defending her, and there's not many of us, are putting ourselves in her shoes. Like, what would have happened? What happened that would make someone go, I'm going to call the cops? There was nothing that happened. I mean, if she saw him stabbing somebody to death and didn't call the cops, fair enough. But she didn't. There weren't ear-piercing screams going on. Like, we've talked so often about how stabbings are silent murders. You get the person in the right spot with your first stab or slice, it's game over for them. And I can't believe how vicious, not just the YouTube creators and their chat, but also the media are being about it. It's actually disgusting. That kid is going to live with survivor's guilt for the rest of her life, along with Bethany. That in itself is an incredibly difficult road for them to navigate at their young age. And they've got all these horrible people saying she could have saved someone's life. How? Even if she was aware of what was going on, all four of them were already dead before he got down to the floor she was on. She probably would have lost her life too if she'd not realised. I mean, if she'd jumped out of her room and said, "Who are you?" or something, she would have been a victim as well. She couldn't have saved lives. She didn't see him walk into the house with a knife ready to go ballistic with people. And the other thing is we still don't have the full story. The cops don't think she did anything wrong at all. But the court of public opinion on social media and also mainstream media are making her out to be a villain. I mean, they have a suspect who could be the villain, and that's where people's energy, once he's convicted, if he's convicted, needs to be focused. It's absolutely horrible what people have been saying online about this girl. That was the one thing that kept popping up all the time when I was away in my notifications, was just channel after channel after channel after channel, mainstream media channel after channel of people absolutely ripping her to shreds. And once again, ignoring what we do know, which is the cops didn't think there was anything untoward in what she did. The fact that she called the cops 20 minutes after waking up because she figured people weren't getting out of their rooms and so on, that was the first time that you'd think she'd need to call the cops, and she did. But everything that happened at 4 a.m., none of those things, those individual things, when you factor in that house and the makeup of it and the random people coming in and out and how much you can and can't hear and the fact that it's a creaky old house and all of that sort of stuff, and there's a barking dog. Well, I mean, they had a puppy in the house. They bark all the friggin' time. She would have heard them all coming home with food. They would have been in the kitchen making a lot of noise, eating their dinner, the macaroni cheese. Like, nothing happened at around that time in the morning, 4 a.m., for her to go, I'm going to call the cops. And I get the freezing on the spot thing. I've lived in share houses and there's someone walking out of the house and I'm like, I don't want to get involved with them. They might be someone that one of my roommates has just brought home from the pub and had a bit of fun with and they're leaving. I wouldn't have left my room and gone, hi, who are you? I probably would have gone frozen on the spot and gone silent too and hoped they didn't see me. But my first thought wouldn't be that person leaving the house right now has just killed 4 of my friends. Nancy Grace is a newborn, Betty. And she's a deluded twit. Well, both of them are. Yeah, and it's not even, I mean, look, the shock thing is, freezing on the spot or whatever. Like, that's what I was saying. I mean, if I've been in share houses and I've got up to go to the loo or something and I've opened the door and I've seen some dude walking out of the house and I'm like, oh, that'd be my housemate. She's just had a little romp with this dude, and I would freeze on the spot and be really silent and hope that he walked past my room and didn't notice me there, rather than have to go, hi, did you just entertain my housemate? You know what I mean? Like, even the freeze on the spot thing is being I think twisted, and taken out of context. People aren't sort of getting that whole thing of, you're in a share house, there's people coming and going all the time. It's 4 a.m, there's this random dude walking out. I'd freeze on the spot too to avoid speaking to him. I think so much of it's been taken out of context. But if you actually look at it from her perspective and the night that she'd had and the house that she lived in and everything else, there was nothing that happened that would make a person think they needed to call the cops. It's just another Saturday night at 1122 King Road, Yeah, I'm turning into a mama bear about them too. Yeah, they have been protecting her. I mean, her life is never going to be the same. Just because she survived that. But on top of that, she's now a constant source of criticism and negativity from all these random people on YouTube who are vile. There's no other word for it. But there's now a suspect in custody, and I mean, to be honest, even the channels that are delving into his life in intimate detail, I'm waiting for the trial or the next court hearing in June. They can dig all they want. At the moment, he's a suspect. He's been charged. I actually think people are underestimating him. I think this whole arrest and trial process and everything else is all part of his plan. All part of it. I don't think it was just about killing people if he did it. I think the trial and everything else is also part of it. And I was saying last night on the affidavit, the information we've got on at the moment, it's only a fraction of what the prosecution have. But if that was the totality of what they have, he could be acquitted on that. No, they didn't, because especially while the suspect was still on the run, and could well be if they've got the wrong person, they weren't going to make a big deal about her because, he could have come back and got her too. Yeah, young kids are noisy, and put some alcohol in the mix, it's even noisier. I spent a fair bit of time in my room too. I mean, I lived with a girl who had a bit of a revolving door, if you know what I mean. Like I said, if I'd been coming out of my room and I heard someone open her bedroom and start walking down the hallway, I'd freeze on the spot too and hope they didn't see me in the dark. I don't need to know everything about my housemate and who she's bonking and what she's up to. I'm not going to be like, hi, would you like a cup of tea? Yeah, she is a star witness. I feel for them too. But I have to kind of give the Idaho murders a bit of a wide berth because I'm getting to the point where I do want to just go in and yell at people about how vile they're being. I think I'll do another Stop the Madness video, but I just can't handle this new true crime genre or this new true crime audience because they're so far removed from what true crime is and they're giving it a very bad name. They're destroying that genre. And it's vile, absolutely vile. Because not once, while they're saying all these horrible things, do they ever think, imagine if that was my child and she was being put through this. Their lack of empathy is disgusting. And the channels, so many channels are milking it because they know that the hungry masses, that's what they want. They want all this sensationalism and they want to blame everyone under the sun. Blame the suspect when he's convicted, but also just delving into his life. It's irrelevant. Oh no. Into the shower? Good grief. That's a thing. Hi again, Emily. I appreciate you too. But yeah, I've got an update on Toya Cordingley, the girl who was murdered in Australia, and they're trying to extradite the suspect back to Australia, and it's been prolonged. But he actually said he wants it to proceed as quickly as possible so he can clear his name. So that's quite interesting. I mean, that is essentially the update. But I will do a live on her. Yeah, I hope my return to work is smooth too. In fact, speaking of, I might head into the office. Nancy drooling at one point. It is sick. Yeah, I'll have you up on Panel Scout for sure. I'm not stopping my Stop the Madness stuff. No way. But, the problem is that these people, the channels that are feeding the sleuths, they're not presenting alternative opinions. They're presenting one thing and everyone latches onto it. There's no critical thinking. And as a lawyer, I have to look at both sides of the story. It comes naturally to me. It comes naturally to everyone in this community. But it's so irresponsible for people to latch onto stuff like that and feed it, and then it just gets out of control. And yeah, part of me wants to just go and tell everyone how hideous they are. How How come so many people roll in right before I'm about to log off? I'm also busting to go to the loo. It's a lot. There's a lot going on. Guys, thanks for hanging out with me. It's lovely to be home. I did miss you all. Apologies, I didn't go live from Singapore, but it was one of those holidays. There was a lot going on and not many opportunities to go live, even for a short amount of time. But it's lovely to see you all again, and keep the bastards honest out there. Oh, I just swore again. If there are people that are being over the top and you feel like engaging with them, I think at the end of the day, if we can all change one person's mind and just make them be a bit more reasonable and considerate and put themselves in someone else's shoes and just stop being so hideous and critical, it'll be worth it. So don't give up. If you feel like calling people out, go for it. And we'll continue to do that on this channel as well. But until next time, don't get hit by, don't get struck by a smooth internet sleuthing criminal. Love you guys. Bye.